find it interesting that the fourth canto started with Daksha part 1 and ends with Daksha part 2. And likewise, the fourth canto also started with the glorification of Lord Shiva, his qualities, how he is exhibiting a pure Vaishnava characteristics amidst all chaos that was happening at a universal level. And in the end, we also see Lord Shiva's mercy upon the Prachetas and how because of their receiving mercy from Lord Shiva, they finally got the audience of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. So in that way, we can see the fourth canto is filled with glorifications of Lord Shiva, and we also get the background of Daksha, part 1 and part 2. And you will see why I'm calling part 1 and part 2. So one thing before we get into today's discussion, 45th verse, I forgot to point out that Maitreya Rishi referred to Vidura as Rajan. You can see that the word appears as Rajan, which is referring to Vidura, that my dear king. Question arises, why is Vidura being referred to as king, as a king? So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that that word actually refers to a great soul, meaning one who is effulgent. And one who is effulgent because one has conquered over anger. And that's what Srila Prabhupada also explains, that Adhira never gets angry. And because the context here was that the Prachetas got angry at the trees, so simultaneously, Maitreya Rishi is glorifying the qualities of Vidura, that Vidura doesn't belong in this category, but he's in a totally separate category, the category of a Goswami. And the Goswamis are sometimes addressed as Maharaj or King. So that was the context of Vidura getting addressed as a king. Okay, now coming back to today's topic. So we saw how Lord Brahma intervened into the situation that Prachetas were burning up all the trees which have outgrown in the absence of a king. And as a result, the Prachetas were generating fire from their mouth and then annihilating all the trees. So Brahma took the opportunity to request the trees to offer the daughter of the trees, or the daughter who was taken care of by the trees, but actually the daughter of the heavenly girl Pramlocha and sage Kandu, as we saw in the previous section, and her name was Marisha. So this beautiful girl was given or handed over to the Prachetas just to pacify them. And so the Prachetas accepted the girl as their wife. And from the womb of this girl, the son of Lord Brahma, who was Daksha, he took birth. So this is the second time Daksha is taking birth. So, but Daksha is interestingly referred to as the son of Lord Brahma, because the same Daksha that was killed in that universal level chaos is taking birth from the womb of Marisha. So the context of Daksha is beautifully explained by Srila Prabhupada in verse number 48 purport. That King Daksha was the son of Lord Brahma. Therefore, in a previous birth, he was a Brahmana. But because of his behaving like a non-Brahmana or a Brahmana, by insulting or disrespecting Lord Mahadev, he had to take birth within the semen of a Kshatriya. So there was a demotion for Daksha. That is to say, he became the son of the Prachetas. Not only that, but because of his disrespecting Lord Shiva, he had to undergo the tribulation of taking birth from within the womb of a woman. In the Daksha Yagya arena, he was once killed by Lord Shiva's servant, Virabhadra, and we had a detailed discussion on that in the beginning of the fourth canto. Because that was not sufficient, he again took birth from the womb of Marisha. At the end of the Daksha Yagya and the disastrous incidents there, Daksha offered his prayer to Lord Shiva. Although he had to give up his body and take birth from a woman impregnated by the semen of a Kshatriya, he received all opulence by the grace of Lord Shiva. So again, so Daksha is also receiving a grace of Lord Shiva, because of which he is at least getting a birth from a Kshatriya. So later on in the sixth canto, the same Daksha will come back, and the discussion on Daksha will come back again in the sixth canto, particularly in chapters 4 through 6. And we will see at that point another interesting interaction with Narad Muni at that point in time. So Srila Prabhupada also gives some understanding of the time frame that has passed between Daksha's offending Lord Shiva and now he's taking birth for the second time. And what has Daksha done in the in between? So that is explained in purport number 49. That the controversy of the Daksha Yagya took place in the Swayambhuva Manvantara. So Srila Prabhupada in the same purport had listed the sequence of Manvantaras. Of course, Swayambhuva Manvantara is the first Manvantara in the sequence of 14, right? So that was the first Manvantara, and each Manvantara period lasts for 71 Yuga cycles, just to give you a sense of the timeline here. So the controversy had taken place in the Swayambhuva Manvantara period. As a result, Daksha was punished by Lord Shiva. But by virtue of his prayers to Lord Shiva, he became eligible to regain his former opulence. So according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Daksha underwent severe penances up to the fifth Manvantara. Because when is Daksha appearing again here? It's in the Chakshusha Manvantara, which is the sixth Manvantara. So for that period, he had been performing austerities for 5 Manvantar periods. And thus at the beginning of the sixth Manvantara, known as the Chakshusha Manvantara, so right now it's the regime of Vaivasvata Manu. We are in the 7th Manvantara period right now. But that means we are talking about just the Manvantara prior to the current Manvantara period when this happened. So thus at the beginning of the sixth Manvantara, known as the Chakshusha Manvantara, Daksha regained his former opulence by the blessings of Lord Shiva. Again, the stress is on the grace and the blessings of Lord Shiva, because of which Daksha restored back to his opulence. But he had to go through a significant amount of austerity, and that is to be noted. So although his previous body had been destroyed, that same Daksha continued creating living entities by the supreme will. And if you remember, like when Daksha entered into the sacrificial arena in the beginning, when we discussed, his body was so effulgent that he would light up the whole um, assembly hall. That was his prowess. And his expertise is at the fruitive sacrifices, and because of which he is known as Daksha, or very expert, because of his expertise at performing the fruitive sacrificial performances. And just like before, Lord Brahma had engaged Daksha in generating living entities. After his second birth, also Lord Brahma engaged him in the same way. And Daksha in turn engaged other Prajapatis or progenitors in the ongoing process of generation and maintenance. And that's what was explained there. And so what happened to the Prachetas? So Prachetas returned back home, and then they accepted the throne which was vacated by King Prachinivarishad even before they had returned home. And because of the benedictions that they had received from the Supreme Lord directly, particularly which appeared in the text number 17 and 18 of this chapter, they remained pure, and in this way they were not really entangled within the household life because of the benedictions that they have received. Okay, so next chapter, or the final chapter of this canto, we will hear about Narad Muni's instructions to the Pracheta. So Narad Muni first gave his mercy to the King Prachinivarishad. Now Narad Muni will also give his mercy or special mercy to the Prachetas, the 10 sons of King Prachinivarishad. Thank you very much.